Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Darksiders 3. Right where we last left off, all the shit hit the fan and it looks like there's something to do in there now, but I think there was a few things I wanted to take care of. Actually, there was one thing that was actually I'm curious about, because it was towards the beginning of the game. I remember I commented on it. Where is it? I think it was West End. I remember there was like that elevator shaft that had the blue stuff, and I was like, I wonder what this is about. And now I want to see what it's about. Then let's go and do this. It's been a couple days since I played again. I do these like in little bursts of like 4 episodes and then record like 4 or so more when the backlog's about to run out, so it's relatively up to date from the last time I played them usually. Because I don't want to make like, I want to play through the whole game in like 2 days and then have all the comments become irrelevant, you know? Well, I'd say Christmas came and went recently. I mean, about a week ago. A little less, but the main thing is all the online orders that people do after Christmas because, you know, the gift cards and such. All that stuff came in, which was really just one thing. I got one of those Elgato Stream Decks, which is really handy. I actually used it to start with the recording this time. And I know it's actually started, so I know I'm not going to... Oh, this is a Chosen. Oh. I'm doing terribly. Also, why am I not locked on? He's the only one here. Luckily, my whip's health regen's so nice that I can pretty much just wail on this guy mindlessly. That said, I'm gonna activate the ice thing. That was by far the easiest Chosen we've had to fight against. Let's see what's where's the button for that again? Ah, yes. Cool, that was worth it. I'm not gonna bother going up there. I'm glad that actually didn't kill me. I thought about it when I was halfway down. I was like, is this far enough to count as a kill?
What would you ask of this?
I was like, okay, Serpent Hold.
Take your time.
I also found a way to actually edit these videos. I remember at the end of the 20th episode, when I recorded it, it was like a little over an hour long. I was like, I'll probably edit this down. Maybe not. And the reason I said maybe not is because I didn't know if I was going to have issues with it, because I don't edit videos very often, and they're usually much shorter. And I did run into issues, but I did kind of find a way to fix it. Basically, I think what happened was the file size was so large that my PC was kind of having trouble dealing with it. I might need to get more RAM. I remember I used to have 16. For some reason, I have 8 gigs of RAM now, which is not enough for editing, obviously. But
did they help me?
After this,
kind of what humans do. And the fact that you sent more than a few survivors our way didn't hurt.
All for naught.
We didn't pull you from the rubble to quit now. Envy holds the power of the Seven. Your betrayal can be seen on your face. Left for dead like some useless, discarded thing. But it is not over.
A reflecting pool?
Aye. With a few adjustments. But it's only meant for you. Will only take you to your heart's desire.
I desire only to finish what the Council began.
Find your resolve, Horseman. It's all you have now. And it is what you need if you have to stop envy and unseat your former masters.
But yeah, I didn't even realize I only had 8 gigs of RAM. I thought I had like 16. I know I used to in like my previous computer. I don't know why I didn't just take all that RAM and put it in there, but yeah, that's probably a big reason why the editing wasn't going so well. I did find a workaround though, so hopefully it should be fine. It'll make it much less of a pain to edit future videos if need be. Which is good, because I don't want to put out some half-assed, like, well, this is what I recorded, so here we go, kind of videos. I'm trying to...
You've spent so long watching and judging that you've forgotten how to fight!
Dare attack this holy sanctum?
I do! I dare! Because no one else ever has! And that makes this even sweet! You haughty sons of whores have had this coming for eons! And you have no one but yourselves to thank!
So does she just have all the Horseman's weapons, other than, Furies?
Well, isn't that the pot calling a kettle black? When I'm done here and you're nothing left but pebbles, I will simply wait out the apocalypse and destroy whatever weakened generals remain. The earth will be mine.
It's over, Envy! You have failed!
Kill her, horseman! We command!
Oh, shut up! You command nothing but my scorn, and you will know my fury soon enough!
Blasphemy!
Yield or die, Envy!
High heels cannot be an effective, combat footwear.
But it was worth a shot.
Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah, that was fair. That was nice and fair.
This is the only time I will ever kill another living soul.
I just realized that I didn't... It took off my weapon thing. Oh yeah, but as I was saying, since I'm doing videos, I do want quality out of them. I don't want to just put out random crap. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Let's just do this, as this gives me health regen and some safety. I knew that was coming. Dodged too early. That time I dodged too late. Ooh, I dodged forward and somehow I didn't get hit. Yeah, it's actually the ice thing is actually really nice, if for no other reason than just giving a bit of safety when healing. Oh, okay. Way to use a brand new skill out of nowhere. The gluttony fight was harder. Unless there's another phase.
It would seem you have finally accomplished your task, Fury. Perhaps you should be rewarded, but perhaps not. Envy may have caught us unawares, but we have more than enough power to deal with an insect like you. You have overstepped your bounds, horseman. You shall be punished, along with your brothers, like the impudent child you are.
Push the fire form. I think she did. Now let's get off the screen.
Unity is key. If we're to move forward from here, we must move as one.
You won't make it.
The Council.
Enraged. No doubt fueling the attack on Haven in secret. If you have a plan for them... The time is now. Heaven, hell, the Charred Council. They wish to see them annihilated. You know this, but perhaps you don't know the reason. Even before the apocalypse, why were your lives so hard? Because you were created for a great purpose and left unprotected. So those who fear you have set out to destroy you with false promises and wars and sin that they blame on you. They all fear you. That fear can be used against them. Humanity can win this war.
Look around you. This is what's left of humanity, and we are in no shape to fight a war on the scale you suggest.
No. You must hide.
From the eyes of heaven and hell. The Council? That's exactly what must be done. But what humanity needs more than a good hidey-hole is a protector.
A protector?
Will buy us the necessary time to shuttle the other humans away.
Away to where?
North, back to the Council chamber. What sort of a maker would it be if I built a doorway that only connected two places, huh? Your heart's desire, horseman. Safe place for a poor unwanted.
I don't understand.
Aye. Well, you will. Sadly, you will understand it all as you travel with them.
Me?
They are in need of protecting, and you need a new purpose. Am I wrong?
I vow to use all of the powers in my possession to protect humanity. And one day, we will set things right. Together. Uthane, my brother, War, is an innocent in this drama. If you ever find an opportunity to assist him in any way, I would ask you to do so.
I will.
Thank you, Maker. May our future be one of justice.
Aye. Safe travels, horseman.
Damn, dude. You guy's a fucking badass. I have a feeling that he is that guy. I forgot his name was Strife, but it took me a second to think, huh, those guns kind of remind me of Strife. That's kind of interesting though, because that's like the main human that you kind of talk to, which kind of made her oh, okay. I guess that's it? Okay. I kind of expected to see a bit of the aftermath of having to... Maybe there's something after the credits, but... Now let's get out of here. I guess we'll watch the credits and we'll, see if there's anything after. Because I'm always worried on credits if I skip it and there's an after credit scene, it skips that too. But, I mean, this gives us time to talk about the game. Which, I mean, I thought it was pretty dang good. I didn't think it was, like, the best game I ever played. But, it was very competent. You know, I hear a lot of comparisons to Bayonetta from people, you know, who aren't mindlessly saying it's just like Dark Souls. And I haven't played Bayonetta. I've seen it played. Definitely getting vibes of that from what I've seen, where there's a lot of dodging and countering, but yeah. It was fun. I actually did enjoy it, and it was worth the price of admission for sure. I never really... I still don't understand a lot of the criticisms of the game, because I didn't even really feel it. I feel it was pretty harshly criticized, honestly. But, the only criticism that the only real criticism I really felt was kind of accurate, because this was, I feel, kind of true when the game first came out, was that they said it was kind of unstable, which it did crash in one of my earlier videos, but it was like right at the end of the video, but y'all saw it. And that was definitely true. Which, I mean, granted, I'm basing off of one time it crashed, but it was also a couple days before they put out a patch where they said should have fixed all the issues, and it hadn't happened since, so, you know. I'm inclined to believe that was the case. Albeit it's a very tiny sample size, so that's with a grain of salt. I like Fury as a character. Not the deepest character ever. I thought their side story about her horse was probably the dumbest bit of the writing, because did anybody care about the horse, honestly? I mean, the only way I can see anybody caring about the horse is if they just like horses. And they're like, oh no, the horse died. You know, she said like one thing to the horse, then we didn't see the horse for like the first third of the game, and then it was dead, and she was sad. And then it was referenced like twice throughout the game, like it's a big deal, which obviously to the character, sure. But the only character development we saw between her and the horse was, oh, if I wasn't so bored, or if I didn't love you so much, I'd kill you out of boredom, and like that's it. The Sins are pretty fun. I felt like a couple of them were a bit too samey. Like, they didn't have like the most complex attack patterns. The ones that were fun were the ones that were like multi-staged and like really interesting. Like, you know, Gluttony, again, I mean, he was probably the hardest one for me, because of that first phase. That first phase intimidated me a bunch, because I saw I was doing very little damage. But, you know, then phase 2 kicks in, and you actually do tons of damage with those bombs, so it was intimidating to me, so I was thinking there was some other way around it, how little damage I was dealing, but no, it was normal. I feel like they could be a bit better if they design it so that he loses the entire first health bar, and then phase 2 kicks in. Just because then you don't feel like you're doing minuscule damage. You still feel like you're putting it in some... I know some people don't like that, because it's like, well, I feel like I just killed him and then phase 2 started, but, you know, if it's done like that, it feels like you're not really doing anything to him, and you feel like you're doing it wrong. I'd changed the bit with the radar, in terms of how the skulls work, because, you know, obviously there was that bit when I was looking for, I think it was Gluttony's skull, was the one that was misleading me, because some areas were temporarily blocked off, and there was one I can get through. And I feel like it can be fixed in a couple ways. Since it was only for that one, they don't even necessarily need to like change the way the skulls work. They just need to make it so that the only way out of that pit, like you know how you spawn at like a wormhole thing where the merchant is after the Lust boss. They could have just made it so that wormhole was instead at the top of the area where you need to use the purple ball thing that lets you stick to the wall. They could have moved that up there, because I didn't know where I could go, so I went back and warped somewhere and ended up just looking around everywhere. I would also appreciate if they make it so the skulls will appear on the teleporting page next to the closest teleporting location to it. That'd be good too. And there was one other thing. What was it? Oh yeah, and they just changed that little oil puzzle thing. If you don't see the oil come out, it's very easy to mistake that for like dirty water and not really think anything of it. I know there's like a tube that connected it to it. I mean, they also put an item pretty close by, like right in range when you see the switch. Most people are gonna hit the switch first since they're right there, and then go get the item. I'd probably put that item somewhere else as well. I'd probably honestly eliminate the entire little side area that was over there, because that existed just to be kind of empty space, and have that one item there. But I'd make it so if you died after hitting that lever, the oil disappears and you just have to hit the lever again. It'd give people multiple chances to see it happen, because it's kind of an important part of that puzzle. Oh, here we go.
So the young one plays nursemaid to mankind. It is of no concern. Abaddon rules over the earth. Heaven and hell scramble to take their place at the table. And the council? The council works against the very balance they profess to uphold. Soon, corruption will overtake them all, and only I shall remain. You may go.
Alright. Well, what happens if we hit continue? Actually, let's just go to load. Just forward. Does it put us... Is there a new game plus, or does it just put us before the final boss fight again? I think it's before the final boss fight again. Well, in that case, let's just run around a bit while I talk about a couple more things. I wonder if I have... Actually, I wonder if he has new items I can buy. Like, maybe an arm. Yeah, a few criticisms I still don't fully understand that was made about this game. One of them... I remember they said they had a patch that made it so your level cap can be increased to 200, so I feel like there has to be like some kind of new game plus. We'll see if anything happens, and if something does, we'll just skip the cutscene and pause the game. Okay, cool. Oh.
Well, that fury. Aiming to lay down a mighty hurt, are we?
And we can upgrade this.
What beauty. Interesting.
But,
And what what you're...
Few things of criticism I don't understand with this game is, first off, it's weird to compare this game so heavily to Dark Souls, but then also complain that the dodging doesn't feel right. I'm going to tell you right now, it is exactly the same as Dark Souls. Iframes are at the very start of your dodge, and they fall off a bit before the end of the dodge. So I don't know how people who compare this so heavily to Dark Souls is complaining that the dodge feels weird. You've felt the dodge a million times. It's the Dark Souls dodge. It just has a different animation. It has the essentially a Bloodborne style animation where you dash instead of roll. Definitely they should have done more work with the secondary weapons. They felt pretty worthless other than to solve puzzles. Which, I mean, granted, their application in puzzles was fun, but you know, if you're going to give me secondary weapons, I want more of a reason to use them. And I feel like it mainly fell down to the fact that they all have two things in common with problems. And the first one might actually be my fault because I didn't upgrade them as much as the whip. But at the same time, what incentive do I have when I always have the whip equipped but have to toggle between weapons? Was that they never felt like they did more damage than the whip. Sometimes they felt like they did around the same. And the whip had every situation covered. It had good single target thing by like delaying, and so you pull them into you and do that up grab. That's good for single target. And for multiple targets, you just hold square or X respectively for an Xbox controller, and you do this big loop around. So you have every main scenario that you would have with regular enemies covered. So there's no reason to use those other weapons, especially if they don't do more damage. And the whip just flat out has more range than, say, the daggers, which go that far. Like, they're faster, sure. Maybe you can use them to get to your dodge more quickly, if you don't want to have a long recovery time, but even then... No, actually, no, look. Or, look at this. Oh, wait, Oh, actually, you can actually roll. You can roll out of the first attacks if you're at the start, but either way, the whip's still just as fast in that instance, so I don't get it. The hammer was good for breaking shields, and that was about it. And I'd switch them to use their spells, but the weapons themselves felt utterly kind of worthless. They need to either do a lot more damage than the whip to make up for their lack of range, or they need to have more commonly used combat situations. Like, enemies should have shields more. And I would also appreciate it if they had moves that you can easily chain into without needing to like awkwardly toggle and then hit the button. It'd be great if you're in the middle of swinging, you just suddenly switch to it while swinging. You would instead follow up with like a combo off that. Like, you know, how I can kind of just do this. It'd be cool if I was on a different element and when I swung and switched to that, it automatically followed up with like the follow-up. That way, if I'm fighting, I'm fighting, and a guy with a shield shows up, I can like swing at him and then do that and immediately follow up more easily. Like, yes, you can switch and then quickly hit the button, but that becomes, it doesn't feel natural, basically. That would be a good change, but I feel like that'd be a bit more difficult to implement than simply changing some of the compass mechanics and such. I'd say the best thing they can really do for these, honestly, at this point is just increase their damage to make the less range be worth it. But even then, at the same time, then the weapons would kind of feel generic with each other. You know, maybe some enemies had weaknesses, but it was never really a big deal. Another thing I'd change, and this is honestly something I would just change about a lot of games in general, get rid of the weapon upgrade system. You have stats. Stats increase damage too. What's the point of having another layer to that? I have this complaint in Dark Souls as well, especially in Dark Souls, actually. And I mean, this does also apply to this game. When you put stats into something, like your strength or your dexterity in Dark Souls, and I get why they do it in Dark Souls. It's because they want to make it so that you can't become overpowered in damage by just nuking all your points into one stat. But there's other means of doing that than just having upgrade items. The upgrade items one is just what developers like to do because it fills up other world with a bunch of like random loot, so it feels like it has more stuff in it than it does. But think about when you're playing Dark Souls and you pick up like a new weapon. That weapon's worthless until you upgrade it, so it kind of takes away all the excitement of finding a new weapon. You're like, oh cool, I just have to farm chunks and a slab for like an hour, and then I can finally use this weapon, which might not even be good. And you know, the same thing kind of happened with this, you know. I get a new weapon and I'm like, cool, this will only be good after I've upgraded it to catch up with the whip. which I'm obviously has a head start because why wouldn't I upgrade the whip as soon as I can when it's the only weapon I have? I wish they did a bit more with armors. Like I don't think I have any armor still. Maybe I got some for beating the game. I just don't know yet. Nope. I know there's gonna be some as DLC. I think you're also gonna be able to earn some in DLC, which maybe we'll get those at some point. I don't know how long I've actually been playing the game, like in general. I don't know if there's something that shows me that. Don't know. I mean, I can check Steam, but game was long enough. Wasn't the longest game ever. That said, about 2/3 through, I kind of stopped backtracking to look for secrets, mainly because not because I didn't feel it was entertaining, but I felt like at that point we were getting kind of close to the end. It's one of those situations where you're close to the end of the game and you can feel it, so you don't really want to bring it to a stop at that point. You kind of just want to finish it, not because you're getting bored of it, but because, you know, clearly the story's picking up, and you don't want it to just suddenly stop to look for new stuff. And yeah, I like the upgrade system with the runes in terms of those, because those actually can give... That's one of the things that can make these secondary weapons feel like better, is that you can give them a unique purpose, assuming that their effect only applies when they're equipped. Obviously, they only apply when... obviously, the damage ones only apply when you hit with them, like the sword one giving more wrath meter, which was useful. You know, that kind of made it the only other secondary I'd use, because its spell was pretty nice. I generally prefer, unless it's like absurd damage, I'll usually want spells that give me protection, because, I mean, think about it. Think of how much damage I can do to something when I know I'm pretty much completely immune to any harm from them. At least for a couple hits, I can just wail on them, and if I could do a bunch of damage in that time, which could technically be equivalent. I can also use, and you know, you have more purposes outside of that. But yeah, let's see. Maybe when the DLC comes out, we'll run through that. I don't know though. Kind of depends. There's probably not going to be videos on the channel for a little bit. Not an absurd amount of time. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I just have to take care of a few things, and then hopefully I'll be able to have much more than just one series going on at a time. I'm trying to shoot for 3, but otherwise, yeah, like the game. It's one I would recommend this game to anyone who kind of likes God of War or Bayonetta type playstyles, particularly the older God of Wars, not the new one. But yeah, anyone who likes the older God of Wars will probably like this. It's got the puzzle solving and such. It doesn't have like the old school camera that's locked into place using the right joystick to dodge, really. But yeah, I guess you can say God of War style gameplay with a near automata type control scheme would probably be an accurate way to describe it. All feels great, combat feels satisfying, minus the issues with weapons I just kind of spent like the past 10 minutes talking about, and yeah, it's a great game. Let me know what kinds of games you guys would be interested in seeing on this channel. I am generally a fan of games in general, not the ones that are purposely bad for the lulz, obviously, but you know, pretty much any genre. I like shooters, I like MMOs, I like RPGs. As I'm sure you guys can tell from a lot of the videos on the channel, I particularly am fond of action RPGs, or action-adventure RPGs like Dark Souls in this game. But I do play a lot of games to mix it up. I'm probably going to be playing, since I'm going to be in multiple series, I'm probably going to be playing, regardless of what anyone suggests, I'm probably also going to be playing this game called Epic Battle Fantasy V that came out in late November, which I enjoyed the shit out of, and I actually want to do. That one won't be a blind playthrough, but it will be on the hardest difficulty, which I have done, and it's really hard. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about in that game. There's a lot of stuff that was done really well. There's a lot of stuff I'd probably change, and it's a game that's gone pretty under the radar for a lot of people. So I'm not expecting to have a big view base, but it's definitely a game I'd love to talk about. A lot of interesting bits of it. It's a very Final Fantasy type game, but I've been rambling on for too long now. I gotta end this episode. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode and this whole series with Darksiders, and I'll see you when I start the next series, which will hopefully be in a week, and then it should keep going. But yeah, if you like the series, please leave a like on the video, please comment, let me know what you thought of the whole thing, if it was enjoyable to watch, that all helps the channel and stuff. If you're not already subscribed and you want to see more of this kind of stuff, be sure to do so. I do stream on Twitch. Recently had issues with a stable internet connection fixed, so I am streaming again. The Twitch and Twitter links should be in the description if you're at all interested. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll basically just see me vomiting out video game opinions and frustrations usually, so maybe you don't want to. But yeah, you guys have a fantastic day, week, month, year, life. Have a good one.